Hello and welcome to the Great Big Indian Wellness Show. My name's Tony Patty, your host for today, and joining me today is Ekta Bajaj. But just before I tell you a little bit about her, today's session is all about transformation and realization. And with chaos and uncertainty enveloping the world and impacting our mental health, the ability to become self-empowered, expand our intuitive knowledge, and be our own guru is the need of the hour and, of course, the day. So there's various powerful steps, and we're going to be talking about 10 powerful steps leading to inner transformation today. These are the triggers that can help you invoke your inner warrior so you can reach your most empowered state. Sounds easier said than done, I suppose, but let's wait and see. Anyway, tapping into this dimension can bring harmony, wisdom, healing, and open, untapped portals of energy, creative energy, that is, and happiness too, both in your professional and personal life. Now, to talk about that with us here today on the Great Big Indian Wellness Show is Ekta Bajaj. Now, Ekta Bajaj is the author of The Voice of Kali, a transformational book to invoke the inner warrior. Also, the co-founder of Author in Me. She's a speaker and seeker of Vedanta and ancient philosophies too. And she'll be focusing on 10 powerful steps leading to complete inner transformation. These are the triggers that can help you reach your most empowered state. Tapping into this dimension can bring harmony, wisdom, healing, and open, untapped portals of creative energy and, of course, happiness, which we all enjoy, both in your professional and personal life. Is that something you'd like to achieve? Of course you would. And that's what we're going to try and help you with here today on the Great Big Indian Wellness Show. So it gives me great pleasure to warmly welcome our very special guest on the program today, Ekta Bajaj. Ekta, it's so lovely to see you again.
Lovely to be here. Thank you so much, Tony, for that lovely introduction.
You're very welcome. You and I go back a long time, back into our radio broadcasting days. But Here you are now publishing books. And one of the books that you've recently published is The Voice of Kali. But just before we talk about that, let's just get a bit of insight and background today on transformation and realization. What's it all about?
So, talking about transformation, it's important to understand when something transforms, there is no residue of the past in it anymore. So there is a complete U-turn. There is a complete new perspective that you gain. You know, when caterpillar transforms into a butterfly, you can't see caterpillar in the butterfly anymore. So when we're talking about inner transformation, we're talking about getting a complete new perspective. That's what transformation is. And realization, I have come to my conclusion is that it's basically 3 steps. First, it's discovering your truth, who you really are, and understanding that. It's bringing the focus of your life onto yourself. You know, many times when we're going through an event or someone's being unpleasant to us, we focus every energy of ours to understand what's wrong with the other person or what's wrong with my life outside, but we don't focus it on ourselves. And that brings confusion. And in my opinion, confusion is nothing but absence of or denial of truth. It's not the absence of clarity. So first step is getting to that clarity of who you really are. What's your weakness? What's your strength? Second, after you get that understanding, it's also that then letting go of this I, that this whole thing is happening to me, and getting to an understanding that everything happens through me. So letting go of that pride, letting go of what's not working in your life, what your flaws are, and facing them. And I think the third and the most important step in realization is understanding that we all are here to heal each other, not hurt each other. That's the basis of every pain that we go through, that we feel that we are being hurt. So coming to that understanding that we are being healed just makes us ask the right question of why is what is it there that I'm here to learn, not why is this happening to me?
Ekta, I may be looking at this in a slightly different form, but here you're talking about personal transformation, realization of the fact that perhaps there's certain things that you can do within your lives to take care of that transformation process, even a journey, if you like.
Yeah.
Now, if I may give an example, businesses undertake projects and change programs to deliver benefits, don't they? However, they are frequently criticized for failing to achieve them.
Yes.
So studies have shown that over 70% of businesses' improvement projects fail to deliver their expected benefits, even when they're achieved in part. And often they're far from fully realized. So when we look at a business to our personal lives, let's just try and combine the scenario I've just given you and talk about the transformation process, delivering benefits and realization of those benefits, Hector. Would you explain that to us, please?
So transformation, it happens on a personal level, but it expands to your professional life. For example, if I give you my example, there was a lot of confusion about who I really am. You know, I was doing a radio show, but I had creative talents. I was a graphic designer, and somehow I wanted to use that. So once I understood that my core truth is empowerment, I could expand my business into everything that I did, expanded into that. So I have a publishing business where I empower people to share their thoughts. I'm writing books which empower people. So for businesses as well, if you see any business which has a separate mission and vision statement, or if there are conjunctions of this is what we do and what we do, that seldom succeeds. So even businesses need that clarity of, in one line, what is it that you are doing? So this is a very important process, in fact, for businesses to go through. What is their core truth? What is the core value that they are offering? And if we see ourselves as brands, that's something that we have to then go through as well.
I understand that, because what you're talking about here today with us on this program is that you're identifying and structuring the process, realization, and then the planning stage, which then returns back to the identification and structure of the process, and then reaping the benefits of that. But as far as transformation realization is concerned, what do we actually mean by realization? Does it mean that we have to address the fact that we have faults and fundamental flaws in our thought processes and our actions, and therefore we need to assess those and repair those? And if so, how do we go about doing that?
So yes, it's first accepting and being aware that you have flaws. How many times we are in denial? Well, I'm absolutely perfect. I don't need to learn anything more. So it's accepting that, yes, you have flaws, and then understanding what your strengths are. My strength is that I have a yearning to learn more. My strength is I want to expand my skills in some area. So you start focusing, you bring the focus on your strength. In your personal life, if you're feeling unloved, don't focus on the fact that you're feeling unloved. Certainly, if you're feeling unloved, at some point you have feel loved. So you're able to differentiate the both. So focus on that feeling of love. So it's basically expanding on what you have, what your assets are personally and professionally, and creating a new life from there.
Easier said than done, Hector. How would somebody go about doing that?
How would somebody go about doing that? It's knowing, again, when you understand what your flaws are, it's just coming to a place of null, a void of not knowing. It's being detached from that flaw and not making that your identity.
I see.
You know, when as child, if we have been on stage and we have had a very nasty experience, a stage fright, sometimes we make that our core identity, that I'm shy, I'm not a good public speaker.
Yeah.
So it's coming to that point that was just a momentary truth. In fact, I may be something more, and trying to expand that. So it's not a transformation, is not a very easy process. It takes years or months to come to an understanding that your focus in life has to be on what you have. And yes, you accept what you don't have, but let's focus on what we have. Build on that.
Build on the strengths.
Yes.
Absolutely. This is the Great Big Indian Wellness Show. I'm Tony Patty, and I'm joined today by Ekta Bajaj, and she's the author of Voice of Kali. Now, we were talking about self-realization, the transformation process, and Ekta explained that very well to us here today in the show. But where does intuition come in all of this sector? Because intuition plays a huge part of this. Sometimes we're in self-denial, aren't we? And sometimes we don't want to think about negative things. And sometimes we are in perhaps over confident about things as well. Intuition plays a role and a big part of this somewhere. And it's like an inner strength, a sixth sense, if you like. Intuition. Where do we engage that, and how do we go about finding that and strengthening that within ourselves?
That's a very good point. Intuition. I think many people don't take it very seriously, but that's very important to tap into that side of you. Again, in my opinion, I think intuition is being less stubborn. Sometimes we are so sure of what we know, of the logical steps, that if something is telling us that this is not right, we'll just stick to what logic is saying. And we don't give importance to what maybe some other thought is coming. So intuition is being more flexible in your outlook. So you're open to more possibilities. I mean, how many businesses have opened just because the leader had a gut feeling about something? So it's a very important asset to have. And just being a little more flexible about knowing the feeling that I may not know everything, and there is something beyond. There is a force maybe that's telling me that there could be another possibilities. You just open yourself to different channels.
Just like you did, from radio transformation to being a successful author.
Yes, I think I always listen to my intuition. I always listen to that in a voice.
Ekta, is intuition the same as a gut feeling, a sixth sense? Is it the same as that?
Could be nearly there, but intuition is also being very truthful to yourself, very true to yourself. So sometimes our gut feeling or something inside us is being motivated by our own feeling about a certain event. It's, if we don't feel that the other person is right, and something is telling us about.
Sometimes emotions
come in between. So you have to be very clear that, is this my emotion playing with me? Is this my own personal vendetta towards this person? Or is it actually my intuition? So that can happen. Everything really comes down to being very truthful to yourself, really knowing yourself. That self-analysis, self-knowledge, self-knowing, everything sprouts from there. Everything in our life.
Self-knowledge, self-knowing yourself, understanding yourself, self-evaluation.
Yes.
Is something that we can do, but we sometimes are denial. You mentioned this a little while ago. We're in self-denial sometimes. We think we can climb a mountain when we can't really do it. But then we think, yes, we can climb a mountain, but there's other factors which are standing in the way. There's hurdles which are coming in between and stopping me from doing that. And psychosomatically, we program our minds, our hearts, souls, and bodies not to accept further progression.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's just transformation is difficult in the beginning. The first 3 steps are the most difficult ones, because that's when you have to really push yourself. And I did mention that, you have to be your own guru. You can have the world's knowledge, you can collect as many books as you want. But unless you're able to apply that knowledge in your life, there are nothing. So you've got to really initiate yourself. You don't have to wait for to meet an illuminated guru or someone else to do this. This is a choice you have to make on your own. So the first 3 steps are difficult, but then the journey gets easier.
We'll talk about the steps in just a moment. This is the Great Big Indian Wellness Show, and I'm talking with Ekta Bajaj, who is an author, and latest book that she's managed to publish is The Voice of Kali, which we'll be talking about here in the show today in just a little while from now. Ekta, you mentioned a moment ago about taking various steps. I'd like you to, please, if you could, share with us some of the powerful steps that one can take to transformation, leading to realization.
So the first step, the most important, is to initiate a will to transform. Sometimes we think that I'm not worth it. I'm not worth living a better life, or this can't happen. This thing can't change in my life. So you've got to initiate that will. You've got to initiate yourself. Then knowing who you are. Third, accepting who you are. This is me, and being at ease with your flaws. Being aware of the situations around you, being aware of everything that's happening around you in its clarity. Sometimes we make stories about things that are happening to us, and the core truth is lost.
Yeah.
So you have to be very, very aware of what the story is and what the core truth is. Then gaining a larger perspective, being wiser about certain things. Again, coming to a point where you start asking the right question. What is there for me to learn here? The most important is bringing love in everything, because transformation, when you go through it brings a lot of emotions, because you are seeing every event, every person with a very microscopic view. So everything comes out, all your dark emotions, the ones that you've been hiding, the memories that you don't want to look, they all come out. So it's going to be a lot of anger. There's going to be a feeling of being very humiliated sometimes. So you've got to have a lot of love for yourself and others as you go through. Then you have patience, because again, you want everything to change in like one go, but it's not going to happen that way. It's going to happen very gradually. So you've got to have lots and lots of patience, reflecting, as you said, reflecting on your journey, being open to receive what's coming, and then just being one with your highest empowered self, your highest empowered mindset, tapping into that.
Is that a kind of discipline, Ekta, that we need to install in ourselves, the driving force to undertake the journey of transformation?
When you say discipline, yes, you need to be very aware of your everyday actions. You've got to be very conscious of your thoughts. And that initially, it seems like a task, but eventually it becomes a habit. And when it becomes a habit, you're on the right track. Because we've got to understand our core nature is happiness. We all are happy beings. When we are happy, we're not thinking, why is this happiness coming here? It's only when we deviate, we become angry, there's ego, there's jealousy, we feel a little uneasy. So being conscious of these emotions, this shift in emotions, yes, that's the discipline that you will have to bring.
So are there any other steps that we should know about that you can inform us and teach us about today on this very special masterclass?
I think these are the really core steps. And the first three, like I said, just discovering your, initiating it, discovering your truth, being at ease with it, and knowing that everything is a circle of healing. Everything that we're going to, every event is a circle of healing. And transformation, when it happens, you're bringing that transformation for your own self. So every time the focus has to be on yourself, not being a victim.
I would like to give you a scenario about transformation, and agree with me if you will.
Sure.
Transformation, realization, inspiration, belonging, and expression. These, to me, are the processes that one would go through into the transformation realization process. You see, the work of an artist, as you are in your own right, Ekta, and we've spent time in broadcasting together over the years, the work of an artist requires real self-expression and examination to remain fresh. And you need to remain authentic and relevant as well. So the rigorous and at times scary things that we go through as artists and mentors to other people sometimes teach us the technique of taking the inner journey. And subsequent studies in religion, ministry, and human services have given us tools for the outward journey, if you like. But in the between time, for us, these disciplines, if you like, and worlds and life in itself of people as we are, find these things as stimulants to take us forward from our past experiences. There may be past experiences which are bringing us down. And you did touch on this earlier in our discussion, where there might be a situation in life where you've gone on stage, you suffer from stage fright, something's happened, and you're, for the rest of your life, worrying about public speaking because it's something that's going to bring you down. So, as far as the transformation process is concerned, the transformation, realization, inspiration, belonging, and expression is concerned, what is your take on that, Ekta?
There is a very important thing as we go through this process. Many times we know the truth, but we don't express it in the way it should be expressed. We are scared. There's a lot of fear. So transformation, one, it has to be done without fear. There has to be absolutely no fear about accepting who you are. So like you mentioned that in your profession, you might go through some situations where you think this is not right. How do you say it? So how do you bring that? Is that the question? How do you bring that in your everyday life?
Sure.
Yes, it's about expressing whatever you're feeling with a lot of conviction, not fear, not thinking how's this going to impact the other person, as long as you're clear. So everything really, I'm coming back to that point again and again, because everything sprouts from the fact how well you know yourself and how true you are to yourself. So how are you doing this with love or with revenge? Are you doing this to tell the other person that I am better than you, or are you doing this to make yourself a better person every day? Looking at every event in your life, every person in your life, as a teacher, you're making everyone your teacher. The universe becomes your teacher. That's important to do that. And once you do that, you just don't just tap into understanding the other person more. I believe you also tap into the universe, and you do start getting messages through dreams, through visions, everything. There's a whole new portal open to you, which you were just unaware of. I mean, I myself wrote this book after a lot of visions. There were so many new awakenings that came through this. A whole new world opened up for me. So now I don't see myself living any other way. Even if I'm in my professional life, I've learned to adapt it. It's happening every day. I've understood that this is a regular process now.
That's very interesting. This is the Great Big Indian Wellness Show. I'm Tony Patty, talking with Ekta Bajaj, famous author. And today we're talking about transformation and realization. So in the final few closing minutes of our show today, Ekta, let's talk about transformation and realization from an age group. Is this aimed at any particular age group? Can anyone take part? And should we start from a young age, middle age, or old age, or from any age? What is your take on that?
I believe that we must really start really young. I mean, I work with children, and I work a lot with in empowering children with affirmations. And I do believe the foundations are laid at a very young age. And, because as children, we are born with that feeling. We don't need transformation. Children are already very, very elevated souls, but we kind of create layers of ignorance as we grow. So if we start young, there is a lot of chance that we evolve as much more better human beings and live the best life that's meant to be. I do believe that, every choice that we make has the power to change our destiny. So we have to empower children and people at a very young age to tell them that this is your power. This is the power that you hold to change your own life.
So start early and becomes a trend, a kind of practice throughout one's life. I understand that. What I'd love to do, Ekta, right here on the Great Big Indian Wellness Show, is talk about your book, The Voice of Kali. Briefly explain that to us. What's it all about, and what are the contents of it?
So Kali, The Voice of Kali is a transformational book. And Kali is a force that I was in denial with for a longer part of my life. And it's only when I embraced this energy and I understood it, it was only my ignorance that was just keeping me away from this force. Because if you've seen the form of Kali, it's very fierce. But when I connected to it spiritually 5 years back, I understood the power it had. And it completely transformed my life. Like you do know, I'm from radio, what I'm doing today. And everything that I've written in this book, I have gone through every step. So it's not just something that's coming out of my own thinking, it's something that's coming out of my experience. So there are 10 steps that I have spoken of. I've written those in this book. They are messages which are directed to the female dimension within us. It doesn't really mean that it's just this book is just for women.
No.
I do believe that we have masculine and feminine dimension within us, because transformation is a very vigorous process. It brings a lot of rage. So Kali just taps into the feminine dimension of nurturing and healing, and that power can bring extreme inner transformation, or invoke your inner warrior. And I do believe that Kali is the highest empowered mindset. So you start tapping into that mindset and start making decisions. Every day, small to big decisions are made with an empowered mindset. So certainly you will live your best life. You choose the best choice available for you.
Ekta Bajaj, you are the co-founder of Author in Me Limited, and
Yes.
you've been with us here today on the Great Big Indian Wellness Show.